this is Frode and welcome back to Actualize Notes TV. Today we have another great book, The Moralia by Plutarch. The Moralia. We have already featured a book from Plutarch. It was on Sparta, which is all about the city of Sparta. I guess you're familiar with the awesome disciplined Spartans. And Plutarch was a Greek historian, biographer and essayist. And he was really interested in not only biographying and writing about what happens, the events in the world, but he was interested in the moral character of the people, their excellence as human beings. And this 500-page book is packed with his ideas on a bunch of different subjects, and many of those ideas are practical. And we are going to focus on 5 of my favorites. If you're into ancient wisdom, I think you'll really love the book. So, first big idea is excellence. Plutarch says that to attain excellence is basically divided into three parts. The first is natural ability, what you're born with, your strengths. Next is theory, which he says is training, or it can be studying or learning about a subject. And practice. That means working at your craft. So you have a certain amount of natural ability. You study and theorize and learn what you can about your subject, for example your work, and then you practice. You practice at your craft. You create stuff by yourself. And he says that all of these 3 are crucial to attain excellence, which was the highest moral virtue for many ancients, especially the Stoics. But he also makes it really clear that if you don't have a lot of natural ability, you can still attain quite a good level of moral excellence through theory and practice, through effort, which Carol Dweck talks about in Mindset. She distinguishes between people who have a fixed, let's box this in, fixed mindset and growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset believe basically that it's only your natural ability that will determine whether you achieve excellence or not, whether you become really great at something. Whereas people with a growth mindset, they do like a natural ability, but they don't depend on it, because they are more interested in theory and practice, in the effort they have to put forth in order to achieve their excellence in their chosen fields. For me, this is as a teacher, a student, and philosopher, and currently in a Spartan racer. But the point is that, a really important point is that excellence is a habit. It's a continuous effort you put throughout your whole life. It's not what you're just born with. And since excellence is a habit, as Aristotle once said, what is the #1 habit that would have the most positive influence on your life if you formed the habit and continue doing it for the rest of your life? I'm currently working on impulse control, not just following my impulses to go onto social media if I'm doing my work, or eating some sweets when I just feel like it. I have to put on a timer for 10 minutes. Now, think about how you can achieve excellence through creating the habits that you will perform daily. And of course putting in the effort of theory and practice. Second big idea, happiness. Plutarch says that happiness comes from within, not from without. And I do believe that he got this from someone else, because it sounds really familiar. And it's also echoed by John Milton, who says that the mind in itself can make a heaven of hell, or a hell of heaven. It can make what's good something bad, and what's bad something good. And Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor philosopher, said that the soul becomes colored, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So what I want to make clear here is that your happiness does not come from anyone else, what happens around you, but it comes from how you choose to perceive what happens around you and what you choose to do with it. As James Allen said in his As a Man Thinketh, the world is a kaleidoscope of the ever-moving thoughts that are in your head. So if you say that something is bad, if somebody says something which insults you, then that becomes bad. If you say that somebody insulted you, but you don't have to see it as something bad, then it doesn't have to be something bad, and you can still be happy. We'll talk more about that in our fourth video. But for now, how can you increase your happiness? By coloring your thoughts positively instead of negatively. My number one tip: make a habit of excellence of reading for at least 10 to 15 minutes every single morning. No questions asked. That way you'll constantly get new good information in, and you'll be able to improve your life a bit each day. And of course you can extend that period, but at least 10 to 15 minutes. Alright. Third big idea: trouble. Plutarch says that if you intend to throw a rock at a dog and you miss it and you hit your stepmother, he says that you need to say, not so bad, because often things don't go as we wish. But he gives several examples that Diogenes, the cynic, became a philosopher from being exiled onto an island. So, he was exiled, which is really something bad. Then many people say something bad, and he became a philosopher from that. Here's the symbol of philosophy, really cool one. And another example is Zeno, the founder of Stoicism. He has suffered a shipwreck in Athens, and that way he met the cynic philosopher Crates. And then he became his student, and eventually started his own school of philosophy, Stoicism, as I said. But the basic idea here is that we can use what happens and flip it, turn it into good fortune, turn it into something good. As Marcus Aurelius says, we can, just like when you throw something into a small flame, it becomes extinguished, a weak commitment and a weak strength of mind. If you throw something into a big flame, it just becomes stronger and leaves us yet higher in consequence when you give it challenges. This is what the Stoics call the paradox of fire. Throw something into it and it becomes stronger. So how can you use this? What is currently challenging you in your life? How can you use it to become stronger? Next big idea: good. Plutarch says that nothing can make a man bad against his own will. He always has his conscious choice that he can exercise to be a good human being. And Viktor Frankl echoes this in his Man's Search for Meaning. And Viktor Frankl was a guy who was sat in 4 different concentration camps during World War II, in the Nazi camps. And he said that everything can be taken away from a man, but one thing, and that's the last of the human freedoms: to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. In other words, we all have the power to step between stimulus and response. There is this gap where we can choose how we will decide to act. Epictetus talks about this in his books Enchiridion and Discourses. He says that some things are up to us, what we do, our actions, other things are not. That's everything else that happens. And also I want to make a really important distinction here, and that's that you don't directly control what you think and what you feel. So we all have these nasty feelings and thoughts bubbling up sometimes. Maybe it's some addictions we have and bad thoughts about other people and things like that. But we shouldn't shame ourselves then, but we can't always choose how we're going to act. So we might have some filthy thoughts or craving thoughts for some sweets, but we can choose to just accept those thoughts and feelings, and kind of smile at it, and just choose to focus on what we were doing when those feelings and thoughts bubbled up. While being really clear that we don't control our thoughts and feelings directly, or what happens around us, what other people say, what they do, and what they think about us, but we do control what we choose to do. So, are you exercising your will? Great. Are you distinguishing between what you can't control and what you can, so you don't get all anxious when you figure out that you can't control something, get on that. Our fifth big idea is regret. Plutarch quotes the ancient tragedian Euripides, who said that the consciousness of having done some ill deeds, something bad or something not so optimal, it leaves an open wound in the mind or in the soul, the most true sense of who you are, and it pricks it like an open wound all the time. So here's you. You might have done some ill deeds, and here's a wound. It's just like having a wound that is open and always pricked at. You always know that you did something that's not so great. Now, we don't need to get all shamed about ourselves, like we talked about here, but we do need to remember that we can either choose by being disciplined now and suffering the small pain of that moment to moment, or we can choose to suffer a great amount of pain later from not looking back at our lives 10, 15, 10, 20, 50 years before, looking at all the things we could do but didn't, all the goals we could have went for but didn't. That was Jocko said, we must all suffer one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is discipline weighs ounces, while regret weighs tons. Tons. So it's your choice. We'll choose discipline now to build the habits that you need to do to achieve excellence, or will you suffer the pain of regret of not having done those things that are easy to do, but also easy not to do. Also, that's regret. You can always choose to be good and take good actions, even though your feelings and thoughts and circumstances don't quite encourage it. Trouble, even though something doesn't happen as you quite want it to, you can still turn it into something good by becoming stronger or choosing to accept destiny, or what happens around you, what you can't control. Happiness. We choose our own happiness by the way we choose to look at things. And another fun exercise is actually to remove judgment, because judgment, so many people tell us, is the only thing that makes us unhappy. So when the pen falls down, I can choose to say, oh, the pen fell down, that's so bad, now I have to pick it up and I might hurt my back as I bend down to take it off. And I swear I'll kill someone if my back breaks. Or we can choose to say, look at the pen falls down, and we just describe the event. The pen fell down. Okay. Well, just pick it up then. I encourage you to try it out right now. It's a really fun exercise. Remove your judgments about things, saying this is good or this is bad. Right, that was a little meandering look. And finally, excellence. Create the habits of excellence, one habit at a time, and eventually you'll become excellent. Yes, as I said, that's a little bit meandering look at Moralia. I hope you got something good out of it. Now, what is the one idea that jumped out at you, that most resonated with you, that got you inspired to take some action, to make some changes in your life? Now, figure out what's the first simple step you can take towards embodying that one idea that you choose, and do that as we actualize our lives to serve the world profoundly. Thanks for watching. Have another awesome day. See ya.